Let's go. All right. And you introduce yourself.
My name is Joshua McCarthy, and I'm a catechumen here at St. George since last February.
Okay. And so I'm gonna try to keep this pretty chill because you're a great conversation.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks. And so Orthodoxy in America. Um, so visiting the liturgy this morning was interesting because it was pretty bilingual.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like a common thing for all the Greek churches to have some in Greek, some in English?
Yeah, the only other Greek church I visited, I went on a fishing trip with a buddy up in Denver, Colorado, and I went to it's called the Annunciation of the Theotokos Greek Orthodox Church. And it was kind of the same way where they do one line in Greek and one line in English.
Okay.
And we all follow along. If you're not a Greek speaker, which is an ancient Greek anyway, if you're not an ancient Greek speaker, which is different from modern day conversational Greek, you just follow along in your liturgy book so you know.
Okay. And it would it be the same like a Russian church? Would they do Greek or Russian?
No. There's actually an Antiochian church in Anderson, South Carolina, and I visited them 2 weeks ago, and their entire liturgy is in English.
Okay.
But their bishop, the Antiochian bishop, I think their language, if they did half and half, would be what's that language they speak over there? No. I can't remember what it is. It'll come to me at some point.
Is it the one that Aramaean?
Arabic.
Arabic.
Yeah, it's
they would do Arabic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an Arabic. So, but yeah, if you go to a Russian Orthodox church, I think most of the Russians, they just stick to straight English around here. But it just depends on the parish, I guess. The priest, what he's more comfortable. Really, you're supposed to do it in the language of the people.
Yeah.
Our church, St. George, the Greeks, we have a large actual Greek population here, so I think that's why Father Tom likes to keep it half and half.
Okay. And so we have St. George's Greek church. There's the Antiochian church in Anderson, but they're both Orthodox. How does that work?
Okay, so we're Eastern Orthodox, right? So that's the Orthodox. That's what we would refer to as the Orthodox Church. The Orthodox Church is the church that the Catholics split off from in 1054.
Okay.
If you ask a Catholic, they would say that the Orthodox Church is the church that split off from the Catholics in 1054.
Right. My professor and we talked about filioque because of technology is the class, and so the effect of what that did with the hymn, and he said that the Catholics separated from the Orthodox because the Catholics were being the conservative ones, and they felt the Orthodox had gone liberal, for lack of a better term, which was interesting. I never heard it from that perspective.
Was he an Eastern Catholic?
No, this is a Protestant.
Oh, he was a Protestant?
Yeah.
He's got it backwards then.
Yeah.
Because the Catholics added the filioque like 300 years after the split.
So yeah, it was we didn't go into too much depth about the whole controversy, but he was arguing that because in Protestantism, a lot of the conservatives are the ones who split off from the mainliners who go liberal. So he was kind of showing that that's how it's always been done.
He thinks the conservatives split off from the liberals. It's usually the other way, because if you're a liberal, you're progressive.
Yeah.
So you're progressing, you would have a progression, so you would split off from the conservative. Because to conserve means to save.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of a professor is this?
He's
not a language arts professor.
No,
is this his class?
Because his it's not his class. He's one of my favorite professors. I respect him a lot for his theology and pastoral stuff. But with his background, he grew up PCUSA, it was UPC at the time. So the mainline Presbyterian church.
Oh, Presbyterian.
And it's when he was growing up went really liberal, and so all the conservative Presbyterians are the ones who left the main Presbyterian denomination.
Oh, so he's saying that they left because they progression. I see what you're saying.
And so he was trying. In his mind, filioque controversy. Hi.
Father Tom, I shall see you. I'll talk with you later.
Yes, sir. I'll call you this
Thank you,
week.
Father John.
Thank you.
Bye. And in his mind, he was applying that same like pattern of conservatives having to leave to filioque, which it was interesting. But
They have to
anyway,
leave to.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just to clarify, do they know what whoever this is?
Oh yeah.
The filioque.
If you would like to,
the Catholic Church added, the Holy Spirit proceeds from the Father. They added and the Son.
right.
So, and we believe that takes away from the equal nature of the Trinity.
Okay.
So,
Making sort of the Holy Spirit less than the Father and the Son.
right.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. So that was a rabbit trail. That was good.
Yep.
Back so the Catholics split from the Orthodox, and that's what we would consider Eastern Orthodox.
I mean, they both wrote excommunication letters to each other at the same time. So, I mean, it didn't just happen one day. Any historical scholar that you're going to watch on YouTube or read about or anything is going to say it had been years and years and years in the making of disagreements. And I think ultimately it was because the West, the Pope, the papacy was trying to usurp authority over the Eastern churches. And I think they had, when she was first among equals, I think they called a meeting and maybe he had two other bishops supported him while the other 5 didn't, something like that. So I may have my numbers wrong.
Yeah.
Because the majority didn't support, that's why they split off from the East. And that's also how you get the Eastern Orthodox, which is what you were talking about earlier. Right. So you have the Antiochian, the Ukrainian, the Russian, which the Ukrainian used to be into the Russians. They're having an issue now. You have the Greeks, so forth.
So if I am a member of the Greek Orthodox Church, I can go to an Antiochian church?
Yes, we are in communion with the Antiochian.
Okay. Who are you not in communion?
The Catholics.
Okay.
Coptics.
Copts, right?
Yeah, Coptics. They were like the initial split off. That's another. They're not really. We wouldn't consider them Orthodox. Which their schism at the very beginning was over the natures of Christ.
Okay.
Not sure if you've learned about that, but we believe
Ephesus, Chalcedon.
Okay.
Neophysite stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Orthodox believe with the natures. Well, what makes you different?
Fully God and fully man.
Right. And what would the Coptics?
The Nestorians, they would believe. I'm not really good at explaining the Nestorian difference. Yeah. They believe. I think that they say that he is only one nature. The problem with the Nestorian, depending on who you ask, some people will say they're heretics, and some people will say that it's a translation issue from back then. So you'd have to actually talk to a Coptic. I don't want to speak for them.
Yeah.
Because I've spoken to Coptics that say they 100% agree everything with the Eastern Orthodox say.
Interesting.
So they're like the most, in my opinion, they're like the closest to come back to communion.
Okay.
Okay.
So with American Orthodoxy, there's in I guess Europe and Asia, there's autocephalous churches. What does that mean?
Autocephalous, it's kind of like a federation. It's kind of like it's like how we have it states in the United States. Mm-hmm. South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, but we're all in the United States.
Right. Yeah.
So, but they all have a governor.
Right.
Right. And then the only difference is we don't really have a president per se. Yeah, we have bishops. And what the Pope used to be was like first amongst equals, first among equals. So he could basically call a meeting, but it wasn't like he never had like full authority over all the other autocephalous churches. So, but it's anyway. Long story short, it's the same church, just different regions. So.
And so, there's no autocephalous Church of America, though.
You're talking about the Orthodox Church of America, OCA?
What is that? I'm confused because I've researched that a little bit.
As far as I know, I've never been to an OCA church yet.
Okay.
I think St. John the Ladder's OCA. But they're still Eastern Orthodox. I think that they just, I don't know if they don't have a bishop or they answer under other bishops or something like that. I think that they're just not because the United States is so new to Orthodoxy.
Right.
I think they just don't have, they haven't appointed a head or something like that. But they still practice everything Orthodoxy.
So St. George is, if I recall during the service, part of the Diocese of America.
Not the Greek Archdiocese.
The Greek Archdiocese of America. What does that mean?
We're Greek. Ours is Greek. It's just a Greek-speaking bishop,
Okay.
basically, that's over the Greek. So the immigrants that came over from Greece,
Right.
they brought their church with them.
Okay.
They kept the liturgy mostly in Greek at first,
Okay.
and that's why it's like half and half now, because it's the congregation's starting to change to people like me who don't speak Greek or ancient Greek, and they still have a bishop to squash. Basically, what the bishop does is calls meetings, and if they have any kind of issues, you need a leadership form to, if there are issues that pop up in the church or just organizational purposes.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that we're in a different church than, say, like the Russian church or the
So you're gonna have a
Ethiopian church.
different bishop of their
Mhm.
diocese.
And it's just basically a language issue,
Okay.
and also just to why would, since we don't know the cultural norms of, like, I mean, I'm not Greek, but if we were in Greece and they were in Russia, then it wouldn't make any sense for the Greek bishop to handle whatever Russian problems that their congregation might be having, because he wouldn't understand the culture. So that's
Okay.
why they would have a different bishop. And then if there is a problem or there's an issue that all the churches need to come together and agree on, they would call a council, like what they used to do, like the ecumenical councils. And then they would get together and make a decision to come up with something like the Nicene Creed. Or something like
Okay. Yeah. And so there's St. George and the other churches in the Greek Archdiocese of America has an archbishop.
Mhm.
And is he subject to Constantinople? Or?
Right.
Okay, he is?
Mhm.
Okay. But the Russian churches are subject to Moscow, kind of, sometimes.
You'd have to ask a Russian.
Okay.
I'm not really sure how their leadership. And to be honest with you, I probably, I mean, I might not be 100% accurate on all this. Most of the laity doesn't concern themselves with any of this stuff. I'm just like fascinated by it because I want to know what I'm signing up for.
Yeah.
I come from a non-denominational Protestant background where it's more like a libertarian, the entire leadership structure, which is kind of like animal.
Yeah.
But as far as like who the other churches answer to, you'd have to ask one of them or look it up. It's usually posted on any church's website.
Okay.
Yeah. The structure.
Interesting. So for you you would be a layman. What is joining the Orthodox Church, joining St. George in particular? What do you see your role as being? Like, what do you see your mission as being as a layman?
So right now my mission is just to be accepted into the church humbly, however the church will have me, because I am first and foremost a sinner, and I want to serve the Lord and bring my family to serve the Lord. Whatever the Lord needs for me, and that's what I want to do, so that I can achieve theosis, so that I can become godlike, to have Christ, act through, live in me.
Okay.
So that's my mission. I don't have any aspirations of being in any kind of leadership, or that doesn't interest me.
Okay.
Maybe one day if I was called to it, if somebody really twisted my arm and they had absolutely no one, and maybe the most illiterate person in the church couldn't help them, maybe then I might think about if they really needed me. We're in World War III. I might, but I have no, other than whatever, it's straight up clear that God wants me to be in the clergy.
Okay. And so you're going to be baptized Easter?
I'm not sure. So you meet with your priest, your catechism starts, go through the class with Deacon Charles. After you get through the class, then you attend liturgy regularly, and then you eventually get a meeting with our priest, Father Tom. And then you meet with him a few times, and then you talk about it, what your goals are, joining the church. If you want to join the church, make sure that you're all about it, because it's a commitment. Then if after a while you're still interested in joining the church as a catechumen, your priest will tell you how long he thinks that you should wait for your catechism to complete.
Okay.
So in mine, he said he wants my wife and I, he wants us to do the full year, which is pretty typical, full year for catechumen. That'll end sometime around February. And then we'll also have to be married in the church as well.
Oh, explain what that means.
So my wife and I, we were actually married when I was in the Navy and my leave wasn't approved. So we got married in a courthouse. We never even had a church service. But even if we did, we would have to have a small marriage service in the church, which I think we're going to do an average medium-sized normal marriage service. And where the priest says prayers over you, blesses you, you get crowned, and then you become sacramentally correct. Because in the Orthodox Church, marriage is one of the sacraments.
Okay.
And so before we can take communion, I don't know if you heard him say liturgy, those of you who are baptized in the Orthodox faith and are also sacramentally correct, you can come up and take. So even if I was baptized, so we had the marriage ceremony. Yeah, but it doesn't have to be a big thing. If you don't want to do a big thing, since we just never got a ceremony, we want to do anything, they can usually do the prayers and the crowning ceremony right after the baptism.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. So you're going to be crowned.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Your husband and wife get crowned in the church.
Do you know why?
I do, but I'm not good at explaining. It would be better ask Sam.
Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Okay. Well, thank you. One last question, I guess. Do you have like a favorite saint, or when you get baptized, are you gonna receive a patron, or how does that work?
So you pick you'll have to pick like a saint name or a Christian name when you get baptized.
Right.
And right now I don't really have any in mind. I don't think my wife does either yet. But I'm reading. So as part of your catechism, you have to read the lives of the saints after you finish your class. So it's a book. You usually
Is that the Synaxaria? Is that what it's called? I don't know. I've just heard that.
I think it's the Philippilia
Okay.
that you're talking about.
Okay.
Which Synaxarian might be part of that.
I'll have to
But
look it up.
literally, you can just pick a book that a saint wrote about his life. So the one I picked is a modern day saint. His name's Saint Porphyrios of Slavia. I'm not really good. I'm learning by reading, so I don't know how to pronounce it. But he's the first saint I've read, so he's the first icon that I bought as well for my prayer corner.
Okay.
And, I really like him. I don't know if I'll pick him, but you're supposed to like kind of develop a bond. You can ask the saint, because we believe if you're a saint in the Orthodox Church, you were still alive in the church triumphant.
Okay.
We on earth are in the church militant. After you pass on, you go to the church triumphant, right?
Okay.
And we can ask them for intercessions to pray to God on our behalf, because we believe they've made it. They're saints. So it's like, hey, can you put in a good word for me? You're in good standing with the boss. Can you also... But you can also just pray directly to God. So right now, I mean, the only one that I know of whose life I'm really familiar with is Saint Porphyrios, and I've watched a ton of documentary videos on Saint Paisius of Mount Athos. Yeah, and he was a military veteran like me, so I like him a lot.
Yeah.
He really liked animals too. There's a lot of really cool stories about him interacting with the wildlife on Mount Athos and just being like a super holy man. And I like him a lot. I really like, he's not a saint yet, but Father Seraphim Rose. I'm not sure if you've heard about him.
He was American.
Yes, he was an American guy. His name was Eugene Rose, and he was in the Russian Orthodox Church, and he was received to the church through chrismation. So he didn't even have to be baptized. Okay. He was baptized in another faith. My wife would be received in chrismation because she's already been baptized.
Okay.
But if you haven't heard of any of his writings, he wrote this book called Nihilism, and then he also wrote a book called Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future, and it tackles a whole lot of modern day issues. And I don't think he's going to be pronounced the saint in my lifetime, but those two books, if you haven't read them, if you get the time, I know you're probably busy with school, but if you read Nihilism, that's like what I was feeling when I was looking for a church.
Okay.
And I didn't know it, but when I was reading that book, I was like, oh my God, this dude is just speaking to what my like my soul is crying out about, and it is like a spirit of nihilism that we're in right now in the world. And a lot of people pick, I think, Seraphim because they think that he's going to be named a saint. Usually, I think the waiting time is about 50 years before the laity kind of pronounces it and the clergy accepts it.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to happen. I've asked one some people. I don't know.
So when did he die?
I think it's only been like 20 years.
Oh,
I think
wow.
he's still
Keep
got
in
like
mind.
30 years before he could be pronounced, but it's very recent.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying. If you pick up Nihilism, which is on Audible, it's like 5 hours if you listen to it. I listened to it like 6 times now. And in Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future, if you don't want to buy it or you want to listen to it, it's on YouTube and like sections. But he handles all kinds of crazy stuff like UFOs, what we believe those are. Just awesome stuff like that if you're into it. And I really like Father Seraphim. And a lot of people pick the guy whose namesake he took, the other Seraphim.
Right?
Yeah, Seraphim Seraph. And he was also awesome. Oh, there's also Joseph the Hesychast. Hesychasm is like practicing silence, quietness to hear this voice of the Lord, which comes in the form of, they described it as like pure light, which is like, that just blows your mind thinking about. Yeah, there's a lot, but probably those two, and then maybe the third of the. I really like all of them. St. Porphyrios, St. Paisios, and maybe Father Seraphim. Those.
Cool. Well, thanks. God bless you. You can help Catechumen get baptized. That's really cool.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for the questions. I hope I